What is going on, nerds and nerdettes? It's your boy, Stevie B, with something a little different. You see, the last couple days, weeks actually, I've been watching videos and I've been seeing people complain about CGC and raising the prices and lowering benefits for subscribers. And now everybody is, waving the CBCS flag. Go over to CBCS now. Screw CGC. And okay. Here's my opinion on the whole thing. First of all, I don't like grading. I don't like grading companies. Yes, I have graded comics on the wall, and as I've heard them say over on Two Brothers Comics before, it's like, yeah, you've got your graded comics, but you know how many comic books I have sent in to be graded? 2. One was my you can't see it. My camera is a little, there we go. How's that? But anyway, one is the Amazing Spider-Man 361, first appearance of Carnage. The other one I sent in not for the grade, but for the, where'd he go? Oh, right next to it. Not for the grade, but I sent to CBCS for signature verification. Those are the only 2 books I have ever sent to be graded. And here's why. Number 1 is, that's still got a bad taste in my mouth from the 90s when these professional grading services first came out. See, I was a big comic book collector. I've gotten out of comic books. I was out of comic books for over 20 years. I started in the 90s like a lot of people did with the death of Superman. And I collected, I read everything. I bought everything. I collected everything. In the 90s, I was dropping a bill a week on comic books, collecting, putting them in their bags and boards, keeping them in my long boxes, keeping them pristine, and was so proud of my collection. I was like, man, my collection's worth a buttload of money. And then CGC came along and wiped it out. Just single-handedly just wiped out my entire collection. That book right there I had ungraded in the 90s was a $375 book in the 90s, ungraded. CGC came along, that book ungraded, $25. That's what happened. Because, and this is the kicker, is that all the bitching and moaning that collectors do about these grading companies, the kicker is we did it to ourselves. We did it. We are the ones that decided that this is what we wanted and that we wouldn't accept anything less than this. It used to be you would take your comic book, you'd take your comic book into your local comic book shop and to sell it, and you'd say, hey, I want to sell this comic book. And your shop owner or employee would, forget it. But they would look the comic over with you sitting there, and then they would pick it apart with you sitting there. Well, it's got this on it. You see right here, it's got some corner damage, or you see right here, it's got some spine damage. And they would grade your comic book right on the spot with you staring them in the eye. There was no questions. You knew what he was dinging you for. You knew what you had, and he made you an offer. You could take the offer. Most of the time, it was, I give you this much cash or this much trade. So. And yes, you got lowballed. If your book was worth $50, you were lucky to get $30 for it. But you got a little lowballed, and I get that. But it was the nature of the beast, and we accepted it, and we were okay with it. Then these grading companies come along, and they said, your book that your local comic book shop owner said was mint condition is garbage now because you ain't got it in one of these cute little plastic cases with our stamp of approval on them. And we let them do it. We started sending our books in droves. We flooded their store with submissions after submissions after submissions. We are the ones that said we're not going to buy your book because it's not graded and therefore it's worthless. We are the ones that decided that. So now that we've backed ourselves into a corner and CGC has come to the conclusion that well, America has made us the number one, the absolute must-have grading service on the planet. So now that's what they did. They said, screw you, we're the only game in town that anybody trusts, and you're going to buy from us. And it doesn't matter what we say or what we do or how bad we stick it in your butt, how many times, doesn't matter how many scratch cases we send you, doesn't matter how many times we give your 9.8 book a shitty grade of 9.0, just because you happen to get little Jimmy instead of little Susie grading it, and Jimmy decided he didn't want to give you a 9.8, whatever. And it doesn't matter how many times we take your comic book and drop it on the floor and bang the corner on it and just decide, screw it, we'll just grade it as is, and that's the way you send it to us. You know, we trust complete strangers with our high dollar books. We trust them to handle it with care. And you think about factories anywhere else, there's always, no matter where you work, there's always that one person that just doesn't give a shit. CGC is no different. CBCS is no different. PGX is no different. You're going to have that one person that just doesn't give a shit. He's going to grab your book and go, throw it on the ground, look it over and go, bend it all to shit, rip it, whatever. He doesn't give a shit. He's going to throw it in a case. And if you're lucky, he's going to put the right label on it. He's going to scratch your case all to shit, and he's going to send it to you, and you're going to eat it, and you're going to like it, and you're going to take it. And that's what they're banking on. Now the people over at CBCS are salivating. They're drooling at the mouth, just foaming because, CGC pissed off their customers, so they're all going to come to us. Well, guess what? Hate to break this to you, but CBCS is going to do the same thing. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a year from now, but some point down the road, CBCS is gonna screw you over just like CGC did. And then what's next? PGX? PGX doesn't have that good of a reputation to begin with, but when you keep getting screwed over by company after company, eventually you keep switching companies, and eventually people will try that. So here's what I'm telling you guys. The only way you're going to get change, the only way that things are going to get better for you as a collector is to just stop using them. Don't switch companies. Don't go to another shitty company because the other company is shitty and decided to charge you more. You know what a comic book looks like. I'm not that good I'm not a professional grader, but I can tell you when a comic book's a piece of shit and when it's a pristine, nice looking copy. I don't need to be trained in that. You don't need to be trained in that. You know what they are. You know what good is good. You know what damaged is damaged. But we've empowered them. And the only way to get better is to take that power back. So my solution is this, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If it's so important, number one, if it's so important to you to have your comic professionally graded, and I see there's a market for it, and and there's a justifiable need for it, then why not certify someone at your local comic shop? Why not offer certification programs for these comic shop owners and their employees where they go, they get the training, they're taught what to look for, they're taught how to grade, and then they get that nice little plaque on their wall that says professional comic book grader certified, and you are certified. Then I can bring my comic book into my local comic shop and say, hey, I want this professionally graded. They charge you a fee. There's no shipping. There's no switching of books. There's no putting the wrong labels on the books. There's no unexplained, why did I get a 9.0 in this book when I don't see anything wrong with it? They can point it out to you. They can put your little book in their own little plastic case with their own little signature, with their own little certification, just like a COA, and encapsulate it for you, charge you $25 for the service, and there you go. You have a comic book professionally graded in its nice little plastic slab to hang on your wall. Sounds reasonable enough. I mean, isn't that what we used to do to begin with? We took them to our local comic book shop owners, and people are going to say, yeah, but they have a vested interest in screwing you over. Yeah, you're right. It does them well to offer you $10 for your $300 book and then try to pick it apart. But guess what? When you fuck your customers over, you lose business, right? So the more you screw your customers over, the more they'll go somewhere else until they find somebody that's on the up and up. So it all comes out in a wash. But for me, if I have a gorgeous comic book and I want to protect it, I don't care about the grade. I just want it protected. Go hit them up at Gator Guard Comics. Go get you a slab it yourself kind of kit like theirs. And I mean, I keep ordering them. When they have them, I keep ordering them because, hey, I love that comic book. I love this comic book. You know, I want them protected. I don't want them to get beat up. But I don't want to pay $50 to CGC so that they can tell me what grade, whether it's in good shape or bad shape, and stick their little label on it. I don't need that. And we don't need it as a community. So my point is you bitching about the monster that we all created. We created this monster. We painted ourselves into this corner, and the only way to get out of it is to stop doing it. You know, you just going to have to rely on people's integrity when buying and selling comics, and if they show a lack of integrity, guess what? You don't buy from them. Then you tell your buddies, don't buy from them. And they tell their buddies, don't buy from them. And pretty soon this shop doesn't get any business. I mean, it's a business model that's been going for years and years, and it works. You give good service, you get lots of business. You give shitty service, you don't get no business, and you go out of business. It's not rocket science. So that is my little input onto the whole CGC and versus CBCS versus PGX. Is they all suck. It's a shitty service that should never have existed to begin with, and it's one that we gave way too much power to, and now they're taking advantage of that power and they're giving you the big screw you. And you're going to take it and you're going to like it and you're going to bitch and whine about it, but you're going to keep going back and keep going back because us as a community have decided that our books have no value unless we put them in their little plastic case. And we have some professional tell us they have value. We decided that. So there's my opinion. Like it, hate it, it's still mine, and I own it, and I stand behind it. Let me know what you think in the comments. On a lighter note, 1,000 subscribers is coming up. We'll be giving this away. Details to follow once we hit it. Once we hit 1,000, I'll go in and we'll talk specifically on how you need, what you need to do to enter. And it is not CGC graded, so must be worthless, right? So, anyway, that'll do it for my little rant, my little 2 cents worth. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with. I'm an open book. Everybody has an opinion and everybody's entitled to them, and I respect everyone's opinion. So light me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. But until that time, make sure you like my shit, comment on my shit, subscribe to my shit, and turn that bell on so you can listen to me bitch about the next shit. We'll see you guys in the next shit. Peace.